Hello everyone, Sheek here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Bumblebee movie studio series Starscream. And no, this is not Blitz. I'm pretty sure it's not a remold of Blitzwing. If it is, it's an extremely heavily remold of him. And as you can see, it is also Cybertronian, although it might be a little hard to tell on the front. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the back. As you can see, Cybertronian in nature. Definitely more movie stylized, of course, as it is the movie. Looks, in my opinion, from just the picture, looks a little bit goofy, but who knows? We'll find out when we get him out of the box. Robot mode looks pretty cool. Transforms in 31 steps, and the backdrop is of big screen inspired big detail of the Cybertron Falls. Anyway, I should get a better camera. No, actually get an actual camera at some point rather than using my cell phone. Anyway, cell phone is all I got right now. Anyway, let's go ahead and slide him out of his box and take this backdrop out as well. And there's the box going on the floor. And warning, don't eat anything in this. And then here we have the lovely artwork of the fall of Cybertron. Battle scene, I guess. There's not really anything happening in the background. Just looks sort of like a seedy, futuristic city, war-torn zone. I mean, it doesn't look super war-torn, but it definitely looks like I'm getting some cyberpunk vibes from Cybertron, cyberpunk. Anyway, it is giving me those kind of vibes, though. And then here we have his instructions. Ate it up. Starscream Bumblebee movie, and here you are. You go from there to 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 there, flip over, and then go from here to here to there to there to there to there to there to there to there, and then you have his tri-jet, whatever they're called, tetrajets, that's what they're called, and then his weapon accessories, and that's about it. Now let's go ahead and actually get him out of his plastic blister, and yes, there is a little protective thing right there. And then let's go ahead. Oh yes, I am forgetting, why did I use it before? Pocket knife, handy dandy pocket knife to slice right through the restraints. There we are, making quicker work than I have in previous videos. And then there's a couple more on his wings. Don't want to scratch the nice paint that they have on there. There we are. And there we are. Yep. Drops him right on his face. There. That's less than he deserves, for sure. And let's go ahead and get... Oh, well, that's not at all concerning. Okay, yeah, well, yeah, it looks like this guy might be a little problematic, as he is showing me right now. Let's go ahead and take off his null ray. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be his null ray. I guess the movie version, although, I mean, yeah, to be fair, there was the null ray that, at least I think they call it null ray, maybe they call it something else, but he did also have rocket launchers, which I think they did call null ray, but doesn't really make sense because it's rockets and not a ray. I know, kind of nerding out a little bit about F-22 Starscream, which looks like a giant Dorito. I guess it's kind of fair that the F-22 itself kind of looked maybe a little almost Dorito, not quite exactly, but yeah, but definitely Starscream himself was Dorito. He was a flying Dorito. And this guy is pretty thin looking on the wings. And then get his last weapon, which actually might be his actual null ray. I really don't know. Maybe they'll have indicators on the instructions themselves. Let's go ahead and move this backdrop to the back of the back. Move him a little bit forward. And then let's go ahead and take a nice close-up look at his weapons first. Save the best for last, I suppose. What might be his null ray is done in a blue plastic with barrels painted black. And I think what kind of looks a little strange about Starscream is that he has a lot of primary colors, whereas a lot of movieverse characters don't have a whole lot of color to them. They're just, lots of, like metals and stuff. I mean, granted, Bumblebee's a lot of yellow and all that, and some of the other characters are colorful. It's just for a jet, it's very, especially like a fighter jet, it's very uncommon for them to have flashy paint jobs like that. Anyway, his, I'm going to just say null rays to say he's probably either go on his arms or on his wings, and they are done in a black plastic. This one is slightly warped. Not a huge amount of detail. Looks almost like they should be half of a gun, but that's probably because they go on his wings. I wonder if they can go together. It doesn't look like they go together, but at least on one side. Now, it does look like they do have pegs to... Oh, yeah, pegs go on the wings. Yep, that's actually how they... So I guess it looks like there's a couple ways you can put them on his wings. Of course, there's a peg right there, like that. And like that. Or, yeah, like that. Or right here, it looks like that. But that looks just pretty bad. Maybe it's supposed to be on the other one. Anyway, there's his weapons. We've looked at his weapons, and let's go ahead and take a look at his noggin. And as you can see, it is black, and there goes his wing. Yeah, already off to a good start. Well, anyway, there's his noggin. It is black paint with, well, I'm assuming black plastic with silver paint for the face. Lots of facial details. You can actually see his nose, his mouth. Looks like he has a little bit of a scowl going on there. And red for the eyes. I think it'd be cool if they put a sneer, but I'm not exactly sure how they would make him look like he's sneering. But either way, somewhat intimidating. And then you can see a bit of yellow and gray for the front of the cockpit, and then you can see silver painted on the red, very reminiscent of G1 Starscream, and as you can see, wing popped off. And then on the wings that are supposed to be on there, has a red and white stripe painted on them. And on the back, you can see the Decepticon emblems, red paint on here on the wings leading up to the fuselage. And then, of course, he has blue right here, still kind of reminiscent of G1 Starscream. And then silver for his thighs, and red on red plastic. And that's pretty much it for most of the detail on him. And as you can see, his wing popped off. But if his wing actually turned into a sword, like on... Armada Starscream, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it, because at least it would have a reason for popping off. This does not have a good reason for popping off. Okay, maybe there's something that needs to be filed or sanded. That might help. I really don't know, but let's go ahead and look at his articulation without his. Yeah, I'm just gonna set his wing off to the side. His wing is being a royal pain. Alright, so his head is on a ball joint. It goes a very interesting ball joint. It's at the back of his head. It's weird. So you can look up that far on a very weird angle. Looks, yeah, just very weird. Or, no, never mind. That was his head starting to come off, actually, because it wasn't on there right. Anyway, it's actually supposed to sit like right out there. He can do a full 360, although it looks like it starts to want to come off. He has, like, new wiggly waggly, but it does do a full 360. You can look up. Yeah, he can't really... Okay, when his head is on there right, it doesn't really move a whole lot. So you can either have him looking... Essentially, it may as well be a mushroom peg. May as well be. And then, for arms, his arms can go out that far. He has biceps rotation. This is more for transformation, as I would assume. Arms bend up that far, past 90 degrees, so not too bad right there. His hands do move, but that's probably more for transformation. They do not rotate. And then for thigh, or not thigh, I'll get there eventually. But he does not, okay, he does have hip rotation, but not a whole lot. It can't really do a full 360 just because his parts get in the way, but he does have a little bit of hip articulation, which I guess it's not absolutely necessary to have a huge amount of it, but he is somewhat limited in that regard. Okay, his legs can go out that far. He can do pretty much the full splits. Then his legs can go forward that far, and then they can go about back that far before they start to get in the way of his back stuff. And then his knees bend about 90 degrees, and then his lots of ankle tiltage, and then of course thigh swivel. I would say that he feels mostly sturdy. Like, he actually honestly feels pretty sturdy, with the exception of something that you would think they would try to make sturdy, but no, it's his wing. Like, really. And of course, I can't glue it on, because if I glued it on, because it's supposed to rotate, it looks like. At least, yeah, I think it's supposed to rotate like that. But, I mean, it really won't stay on. Like, you're supposed to rotate it to get to that point, but it just won't stay on. It almost makes me want to return him and see about possibly getting another one instead, because that is just really unacceptable. Anyway, that aside, let's get on to transformation. Phew, alright, let me tell you, it is a little bit frustrating. The instructions, the way they did it, is a little confusing the way they were showing it, so hopefully I can transform him in a way that actually makes sense. But first, I also forgot to show how you, it's pretty straightforward, but, you know, you can put his missiles, and I did show one of them on there, but let's just go ahead and put both of them on there, and then give him his null ray. Because what is Starscream without his null ray? I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be his null ray, but I mean, why not just give him arm-mounted guns like he has had for so long? And, oop, and there, it popped off. There we are. And his gun pretty much blends into his forearm, with it being that blue, and with it having that guard, or whatever you want to call it, it does make it a little problematic getting him to hold it. And as you can see, when it is properly mounted in his hand, it is at a weird angle. It just looks kind of goofy, and it just looks like part of his arm, which might be the whole point. Maybe it's supposed to look like it's part of his arm, like his arm, you know, transformed to have this gun sticking out of it, but it does look pretty goofy. I think they would have been better off just going with the standard null ray. Anyway, to get him transformed, first off, you want to take off his accessories. Take them off. And I can probably guarantee that that wing is not going to stay on during this transformation. Alright. Now, first things first, let's go ahead and pop this up a little bit. Rotate this a little bit. He is a bit of a weird one. And then you take this, like this part right here, and you can also better see it from the back. It goes in here, but you want to kind of split that apart somehow. Out. There we are. Split that up. Get it flipped out a little bit so that you can access the nose of the Tetrajet. There we are. Then you can better pull them out so that you can then pull it out like so. And yes, I am doing, if for any of you that actually own this figure, yeah, I am doing some of this stuff out of order, but I'm doing it in a way that maybe makes slightly more sense. Then again, maybe not. Then rotate his hands in, and he does have a pretty bad case of visible head syndrome, which you'll see pretty shortly. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to his legs. First off, you want to go ahead and flip them out all the way. Flip out all the way. And then this side, it has the top tail fin. You want to flip this out like so. And then you want to flip this out, and it's supposed to not flip that, flip up and around, and it clips into his thigh, although it doesn't necessarily want to stay in place. And then you flip this down, which is a gap filler, which I do appreciate, because there have been times when it's like they make a transformer and they do not have appropriate gaps filled. Anyway, plug up. Or not, well, I mean, I have a feeling these pieces are pretty much all just gap filling. And then you flip his feet up like so. Then you rotate them down, pull them down like this, like that. Then you want to clip them together like so. As you can see, there are tabs right in there that squeeze together. And then you want to line up these two panels like so, and then they clip on. Oh, and I guess one thing I did forget to do when I was transforming him back into robot mode earlier is to flip these out, which I don't really know what they're supposed to be. It looks almost like they would have been landing gear if it was an Earth jet, but it's supposed to be up there like that for robot mode, and you just push it down like that for Tetrajet mode. And then you have pretty much his upper part done, and then, yep, I knew it. I knew it was not going to make it through the transformation. And then you kind of just rotate him back around like this, and then his this part will clip together. As you may see, there's two wide grayish pegs that you just tab into, and it clicks, and then you just want to push him up like that. And then, as you can see, very visible head syndrome. And then you go ahead and put his arms on. You want to rotate, and there goes his arm. Anyway, I guess it turns out it's a big mushroom peg, but you want to rotate that around, and then you'll want to rotate these up, and then you want to unsnap, rotate, unsnap, and rotate. And as you can see, now his arms are lined up. And then you will want to just push these back, and pretty much back as far as they will go, and have them kind of right next to each other like so. And then you want to clip this back together and have it rotated down. And then to get the rest of the Tetrajet to actually look like a Tetrajet, is you want to close that up, or push it in, and then, as it's supposed to work, you flip this out and you just rotate around, and then you have a wing. And let's just do this one separately. Just unfold, and then in this case, plug it back in and hope it stays on. And then there you go. There we have him in his Tetrajet mode. And yeah, he's not quite okay. I did make a little bit of a mistake. You don't want it pushed all the way back. You want it to have it just a little bit, so there's a little bit like a stand, so he's not supported on his wings. So sort of like that. And let's zoom out a little bit, or back up. I feel like I might have I'm pretty sure this is how it's supposed to look. Let's take a quick look at the box and see. Yep, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how it's supposed to look. Yeah, it's from the front it looks kind of decent. From the top it looks a little bit, from the just straight on, it looks kind of goofy, because you have these what looks like very thin wings angled down, and then a big old fat middle section right there. And then you have, but from the side, it actually looks pretty cool. I mean, it is a pretty cool design. I think if they could have cleaned up this bottom part a bit more, it would have looked much better. And then, of course, you can plug. I think that's the whole point of this. The whole point of this is just so you can put his gun right there, like so. And then I guess the gun does act a little bit like a stand to help hold him up, so that's not a bad thing. And then, of course, you can go ahead, and this is probably why they have the pegs like this, so that guns don't look so flat. You can probably just go ahead and peg them in like that, So it actually looks more like a properly orientated gun. Plug in right there. And there we have him fully weaponized in his Tetrajet mode. Alright, just a quick little update. I may have been a little too harsh on Starscream initially because there was a couple little mistakes I made when transforming initially. Like I said, the instructions were not the clearest. The biggest one being the not so visible head syndrome that I mistakenly gave him due to the fact that I was mistransforming him, due to the fact, like I said, the instructions were super unclear initially. The mistake I made is that when you put this up here, I was having it more like this, and then going up, and then clicking into place. But what you actually were supposed to do, and it wasn't the clearest of showing, is you kind of have to finagle it just a little bit to get it lined up just so, and then it clips all into place, clips like so, and his head is nowhere to be seen, except for maybe if you peer in just at the right angle, but it is not easy to see. And then the other thing was his arms. His arms weren't quite in the right place either. I had them further down, more flat, where his hands are more towards the bottom. Anyway, as you can see, there are two tabs here, and of course right here the peg for the big gun. I didn't necessarily initially realize that those two other pegs are there, and then they all tab in together like this, forming a more of an actual stand for him, because he wasn't really going to stand very well when I first transformed him. And as you can see, he is very stable. I mean, he still has a slight tendency to want to go backwards. That's if you really push on him. So as you can see, he is actually like I said, from most angles, and especially now with that visible head syndrome fixed, he actually looks good from all angles, including the back, except for his visible hand. So yeah, there we are. Definitely gonna see what I can do to make that wing not pop off so much. I did file it down a little bit with shaved a little bit off, but it still wasn't quite enough. It's not as bad as it was, but still pretty bad. But all in all, other than the quality control issues, it is a great figure. And then this, I guess, acts as a pretty good handle to fly him around with. So, I mean, can't complain too much about it. So, I mean, good figure, just, like I said, quality control issues. And this has been another Sheek's Transformers Reviews. If you liked this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. And until next time, have a good one, everyone.